And welcome back to In the Cage with Bards here on NextSportStar.com. And joining me now, I have the privilege of speaking with a UFC veteran. You remember him from the Ultimate Fighter season of Brock Lesnar versus Junior Dos Santos. And this Friday night, he will be taking on Luis Santos on Access TV at XFC 23. The Watchman himself, the one, the only Shamar Bailey. Welcome to the program, Shamar.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know how crazy fight week gets, so I really do appreciate you taking a couple minutes to talk with us today. And you actually found the sport after competing in college wrestling. At that point, were you looking at it as just a way to keep sharp your wrestling skills and apply those skills?
Yeah, man. After you're done with college wrestling, everybody knows we don't have an NFL or an NBA. You know, really all you have is Olympic wrestling if you're going to pursue that. So I was looking for a way to stay in shape, and the gym I walked into had jiu-jitsu and boxing. I always wanted to learn how to box a little bit, and fortunately, Chris Lido was training there, and he used me as a training partner, and convinced me to have my first fight. And after that, the rest is history.
Absolutely, and you mentioned that wrestlers don't have an NBA or an NFL; they just have the Olympics, and it looks like they may not even have the Olympics anymore. The IOC making the decision possibly to rescind Olympics or rescind wrestling, from the Olympic schedule. It's caused a firestorm of controversy. As someone who came up through wrestling, just how ridiculous is it to you that this is happening?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, first of all, you have to be number one in the nation, which is oftentimes the world, just to represent the U.S. on our wrestling team. They cut the weight classes they keep cutting away the weight classes. I think they got as little as 5 weight classes. So that's 5 people on an Olympic team. And then to cut the program altogether, I mean, that's what not only people's dreams, but their livelihoods, which isn't that much to begin with. So, and lastly, I mean, wrestling and track and field were the first original Olympic sports ever. So it just makes no sense when you see ping pong and synchronized swimming and those types of things as an Olympic sport. So there's a lot of people getting together to try to get this thing reversed, and I hope that that actually happens.
I hope so, too. Like you say, one of the original Olympic sports, wrestling. And you mentioned synchronized swimming. Synchronized swimming just blows my mind. Like, if you took away one of the people from synchronized swimming, it would just be someone having a spastic fit in the water, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right.
So I don't really understand that. But we'll have to see how that plays out. We can only hope that cooler heads prevail and sanity prevails, and we get wrestling back in the Olympics where it belongs. But what I want to talk to you about is that you not only are a very accomplished mixed martial artist, you're a highly trained, highly explosive athlete. You also work full-time as a firefighter as well.
Yes, that's correct. Just very blessed to have that job. We on the department don't even call it a job, man. It's just a bunch of guys hanging out for 24 hours at a time, working out and training. Keep our skills sharp until the people call us when they need us. So I'm just blessed to be able to get paid to do it.
Yeah, I have nothing but respect for firefighters. My uncle was a captain in the fire department here in Toronto, Canada. But I know how busy he was. How does working as a firefighter, how does that affect your training schedule?
Oh, that's pluses and minuses. The pluses is work 24 hours. So I have 48 hours on my off days to train 2 or 3 times a day, just work on different things, and still get paid as if I was working 5 days a week. On the negatives, if you're the shifts before training, if you're up all night, 5, 6 calls after midnight, that's not a whole lot of sleep. You're going to be dragging yourself into strength and conditioning or sparring or whatever. Pretty tired. You know what I mean? And training partners typically don't care whether you had 5 hours of sleep or no hours of sleep. So, but at the end of the day, it's definitely nothing I can complain about. I'm very thankful for the situation that I'm in.
Yeah, it's a real career where you're actually helping people on a day-to-day basis, and that has to feel great. But does having a high-risk job like being a firefighter, does that almost act as like a calming agent when you step into the cage? Because as unpleasant as the worst-case scenario can be when you step into the cage, it's not nearly as bad as the worst-case scenario when you're fighting a fire.
No, not at all. I mean, not at the same time. You're depending on people are depending on you to do your job, and you're depending on the other guys to do their job. And you really just can't think about that. You just got to focus on what's in front of you and stay calm. I'm not one to really freak out or you too nervous, and I guess more than anything, you don't have time to overthink, the task that's in front of you. You just got to get it done. So it definitely helps. And again, I'm blessed to be able to do these things for a living, fighting and firefighting.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Chris Lytle before. Chris Lytle, of course, has the same career path, and he had the same career as a full-time firefighter even during his UFC tenure. You work with Chris. Do you look for him for inspiration and how to do both things well?
Definitely, I would say for inspiration, just because, it's hard to get inspired by too many people, but I do go to him for wisdom and advice on things, just because he's already lived it and been through it, so I'd be a fool not to ask somebody that has that wealth of knowledge and experience.
Absolutely, and we said it is a very risky career being a firefighter, and prior to the Gideon Ray fight, you actually suffered second-degree burns while combating a blaze, is that correct?
Yeah, I think the people that got a hold of it kind of made it out to be something a little bit more serious than it really was. I just had a couple parts of my clothing that were exposed to the fire we were, fighting, and if you're exposed, then you're gonna get burnt. It's one of those things. So, fortunately, I just had to sit out of training for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we were able to get back into it, and get the win.
Yeah, the Gideon Ray fight was fantastic. Getting a win over a UFC veteran like that, that puts you with 2 wins in a row after a little bit of a slump. But does beating a guy with Gideon Ray's experience give you a jolt of confidence heading into this next fight?
Yeah, definitely some confidence. I always knew what I could accomplish, man. It's just a lot of times with a fight, you're putting together a masterpiece, and you got to do it the right way and then implement that masterpiece when the cage door shuts. And I've always been doing the work I'm supposed to be doing, but things happen in training camp, and I don't want to get too much into it, but things are set up much more solid now, and the results are being seen in these fights, and I expect the same this Friday.
Glad to hear it. You're taking on Luis Santos this Friday. We last saw him in Bellator. He's got about a zillion fights to his credit. How do you think your skills match up against Luis?
I think we're just two completely different fighters, man. We're both explosive, and he's got, like you said, 60-some fights. He's very well-rounded, whereas myself, I have more of a strength in wrestling, but I can use that wrestling to disguise my hands, or use my hands to disguise the wrestling, and so on and so forth. So I just think it's going to be a real technical chess game where we both have to be smart, and I got to be smarter than him, but also just put a lot of pressure on him, man. He doesn't seem to do well against guys that do that, and I just at the end of the day, he excels against guys that are just stationary targets, and we definitely don't want to be that in front of a guy with that much experience.
So you figure as long as you're remaining in motion and keeping that foot on the gas pedal, so to speak, that'll play to your advantage, even with a guy like Santos' experience.
Yeah, among other things, but that'll be one of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've been training with the UFC lightweight champ Benson Henderson. Does having that kind of caliber of training, does that give you a marked advantage heading into something like this?
Yes and no. I haven't trained with them as recently as I would have liked, but they're definitely a great team out there, and they push me in ways that I don't get pushed here. So definitely appreciate what they do to enhance my performances.
Yeah, are you looking forward to Henderson's fight this weekend against Gilbert Melendez?
I am. I'm looking forward to my fight, and I'm definitely very excited to see not only that fight, but also that entire card. It's crazy. It's going to be for free on Fox.
Yeah, that is going to be a massive card, and like you say, on free television, just as XFC will be on Access TV as well. But I'm going to ask you for your prediction on the Benson Henderson-Gilbert Melendez fight.
I got to go with Benson, more athletic, and I think both of these fighters are strong, and The only way that I see Gilbert being able to beat Ben is to knock him out, and I just don't see that happening either. So I'm going to go with Ben.
Sound reasoning, that's for sure. And there's rumors abound that with the win on Friday night that you would likely be offered an XFC long-term deal. Is that something that you're pursuing?
I would definitely like that. Obviously it's up to John Prisco and the XFC execs to put that on the table for me. But from what I understand, the winner of this fight gets the title shot in December. So definitely, I want the big fights and the big money. So let's get that going.
Absolutely. XFC, a great fledgling organization, and you'd be great as one of their top stars. And I want to ask you about coming up through the Ultimate Fighter as well. What do you think about this season having men and women in the same house?
Hopefully it doesn't go, we want to focus on fighting and just educating the public, the viewership, if you will, on our sport and what it takes and the personality behind it, not just two people going crazy and brawling. So hopefully it doesn't take a turn for the worse for the real world, type show, because people can go to MTV for that. So
I was reading that you've dedicated your performance in this fight to a young man who's battling cancer right now. I just wanted you to tell us a bit about that and how you became aware of his story.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up. I appreciate that. There's a buddy of mine, actually, is a wrestling coach on the west side here of Indianapolis, and he's got a young man, fourth grader. We call him Junior, and he's been battling cancer for about 6 months now, I think. And he's having to take his treatments from here in Indianapolis to Louisville. And when I saw that, I was like, man, that's crazy. I'm fighting in Louisville. There's got to be a way we can bring some this kid's fight to the general public's attention and see if we can help him raise money for his treatments. And we've done that. And Access TV will be doing a little piece on him as well this week, this Friday. And, just tune in or go to my website, ShamarBailey.com, to see how you can donate and help his fight against cancer. I got a lot of respect for this guy, and, he inspires me.
Absolutely. A great cause, and great to see you getting involved in something like this. All right, Shamar, got to put you on the spot now. How does the fight with Luis Santos end?
I do believe it's going to end before the final bell. If I do what I'm supposed to do and what I've been training to do, it'll end with my hand raised, and if I don't, then I see it ending with his hand raised. So, but either way, I think the fans will see a finish.
All right, well, it looks like to be one great fight. Shamar, thanks so much for joining the program today. I really do appreciate taking the time. Last question for you. It's something that we ask everyone that comes on the program. If you had the opportunity, you get to punch one person from any walk of life right in the face, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's tough, man. That's tough. You familiar with the Big Boy restaurant chains here in America?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably punch him in the face just because I was a little kid. I ate there and got horribly sick, and I've never eaten at a Big Boy set. So that's why I punched in the face.
Well, there you go, Big Boy. You're on notice from Shamar Bailey. All right, thanks again, Shamar. Tell the people where they can find you in the social media universe, the Twitter, the Facebook, any other internet or social media things you got going on, and any other thank yous or shout-outs you want to give. This is your time, my friend.
Yeah. Thanks to you guys for having me on the show. Follow me on Twitter at Shamar Bailey. My website, ShamarBailey.com. Find me on Facebook. Just thanks to my trainers and sponsors. They know who they are, and thanks to the Lord who has blessed me and gives me the strength and abilities to do what I do.
Shamar Bailey here on In the Cage with Bards on NextSportStar.com, and we'll be back with more MMA action right after this.
So I like this. I always feel